The moment has finally arrived. The most powerful and heartbreaking scene in The Chosen has been revealed. The Crucifixion, a moment that carries not only the weight of history but also the faith of millions. For years, fans have followed this journey, waiting for the moment when Jesus' mission would reach its darkest, yet most meaningful point. And now, Season 6 has brought it to life with a depth and raw emotion unlike anything we've seen before. The Crucifixion is not just another scene in a drama. It is the very heart of the Christian story. The moment when pain, sacrifice, and divine love collide. The Chosen has been building toward this from the very beginning. Every miracle, every parable, every challenge faced by Jesus and his followers has been leading here. And when we finally witness this scene in Season 6, it does not come as a sudden event. It comes as the inevitable climax of his journey. A moment fans knew was coming, but still could never be fully prepared to watch. From the start, The Chosen has been about more than retelling Bible passages. It has been about showing the humanity of these figures, helping viewers see the apostles not as distant saints, but as people who struggled with doubt, fear, and loyalty. That human side makes the crucifixion even more powerful, because when Jesus carries the cross, we also carry the weight of the story with him. The audience doesn't just see what happens, they feel it. This scene is not just about the suffering of Christ. It's about the love behind the suffering. The show carefully presents the crucifixion as more than a brutal execution. It's the fulfillment of a mission. Season 6 doesn't sensationalize the moment with unnecessary spectacle. Instead, it slows down, allowing silence, emotion, and raw humanity to speak louder than words. The camera lingers on the faces of the disciples, the sorrow of Mary, and the cruelty of the crowd. Each detail reminds us that this was not simply a story told in Scripture, but a real moment that changed history forever. And that is why this scene matters so deeply. The Chosen has managed to take something sacred and present it with both reverence and honesty. The crucifixion scene is not about entertainment. It is about truth. Truth that is difficult, painful, and yet full of hope. For many fans, this will be the scene they remember the most, not only in Season 6 but in the entire series, because it is the scene that captures the heart of what The Chosen has always been trying to say. This was no ordinary man, and this was no ordinary death. Imagine this: a story that began with fishermen on the shores of Galilee, a tax collector hiding behind his wealth, a troubled woman searching for peace, and a rabbi who saw something in them that no one else could. That's where The Chosen started. It wasn't about grand temples or mighty kings. It was about ordinary people whose lives were changed when they encountered Jesus. Season by season, we've walked with them, not as distant figures in stained glass windows, but as real human beings who laughed, doubted, stumbled, and believed. What sets The Chosen apart is that it never tried to be just another biblical adaptation. Instead, it became a bridge between the words on the page and the emotions in our hearts. Fans around the world didn't just watch Jesus heal the sick or calm the storm. They felt those moments. They felt the tenderness when he looked at Mary Magdalene, the authority when he silenced the storm, and the tension when he challenged the Pharisees. Each episode layered more weight, more anticipation, because the audience always knew where the story was heading. By the time we reach Season 6, everything has changed. The disciples who once argued about status now carry the fear of losing their teacher. The crowds who once celebrated his miracles now turn against him. The tension is no longer just external, it's internal. Faith is being tested, loyalty is being stretched, and love is being revealed in ways that cut deeper than words. Every miracle of the past seasons, feeding the 5,000, walking on water, raising the dead, now points to one truth. These signs were never the destination. They were the road leading to the cross. And that's why Season 6 feels heavier than the seasons before. It's not simply about what Jesus does, it's about what he's about to endure. The atmosphere shifts. The light-hearted banter of the disciples fades, replaced by fear in their eyes. The shadow of the cross looms in every scene, even before it's shown. Fans can sense it. They can feel it in the way characters hesitate, the way silence lingers, the way the music drops into minor tones. The story is no longer just building. It's tightening, pulling us closer to the moment we've both longed for and dreaded. The Chosen is not just retelling a story. It is preparing us. It's taking us by the hand, showing us the lives transformed by Jesus, so that when we finally see him lifted on the cross, we understand what is truly at stake. Not just the suffering of one man, but the redemption of all mankind. The air is heavy, not just with dust from the Roman roads, but with something unseen, an unshakable tension that clings to every word, every glance. The betrayal has already happened. Judas has played his part. The trial has been staged, and the sentence is final. Jesus, who once drew crowds with hope, now stands condemned, rejected by the same people who once cried out for miracles. But the Chosen does not rush to the cross. It lingers. It makes you sit in the silence, in the unease of the disciples who don't know what to say, in the eyes of Mary who knows what is coming but wishes she didn't. The journey to Golgotha is not just about distance, it is about weight. Every step Jesus takes is slow, deliberate, crushed under the burden of the wooden beam and the weight of the world. And the camera doesn't just follow him. It watches the faces around him. Soldiers hardened by violence, moving with routine. Bystanders, some mocking, some staring, some unable to look away. Each face tells a story. The brilliance of The Chosen is how it frames this moment not just through Jesus' suffering, but through the eyes of those who loved him. We see Peter, torn between loyalty and guilt. We see John, silent but steady, holding his grief like a secret. And we see Mary, every breath a prayer, every tear a memory of the child she once held. This is not just a historical execution, it is a heartbreak shared across every soul who dares to watch. And yet, there's more. The show plants quiet details that speak louder than words. The creak of the cross dragging against stone, the stumble of weary feet, the clash of hammer against metal as soldiers prepare the nails. These moments stretch time, forcing the audience to feel the unbearable weight of what's happening. Not rushed, not glossed over, but real. When Jesus falls, the silence is louder than any dialogue. And when he rises again, carrying the cross, it isn't strength that carries him. It is purpose. Every stumble, every cut, every bruise is framed not as defeat, but as choice. A choice to keep walking, a choice to surrender, a choice to love, even in the midst of unimaginable pain. By the time he reaches the hill, the audience isn't just watching history. They are inside it. And that is the genius of Season 6's setup. It makes the crucifixion not something you know is coming, but something you feel step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, until you cannot look away. Bringing the crucifixion to the screen is not simply about filming wood, nails, and blood. It is about capturing the most sacred moment in human history without reducing it to spectacle. The creators of The Chosen approached it with one guiding thought. This is not just a scene to watch. It is a truth to feel. Unlike other portrayals that lean on violence or grand theatrics, The Chosen chooses intimacy. The camera does not always stay on Jesus. Sometimes it lingers on the silence between disciples, on the trembling of Mary's hands, on the uncertain eyes of a Roman soldier who has hammered nails 100 times before, but never with this much unease. These artistic choices whisper something profound. The crucifixion was not only the suffering of Christ, but the shattering of everyone who stood near him. Sound becomes a character in itself. The muffled cries of the crowd, the ringing of iron on wood, the wind cutting across the hill, each detail is crafted to pull viewers into the moment. There is no background score rushing to manipulate emotion. Instead, music withdraws, when words and silence are enough. The creative team understood that sometimes the absence of sound is more powerful than any orchestra. The vision behind this scene was not to shock, but to stir. The showrunners made every frame a prayer. Wide shots of the cross silhouetted against the sky. Close-ups that hold on eyes filled with grief or defiance. Shadows that stretch longer as the day darkens. The visual language tells us, this is not only the end of a man's life, but the breaking open of eternity. And what makes it truly unique is restraint. The Chosen doesn't rush, doesn't over-explain. It trusts the audience to breathe in the stillness, to wrestle with the weight of what they are seeing. It balances reverence with realism, brutality without exploitation, sorrow without despair. This is storytelling as an act of worship, cinema as a vessel of faith. Behind the creative vision is an unspoken understanding. This scene is not theirs alone. It belongs to history, to faith, to millions who believe. That awareness shapes every decision. The lighting, the pacing, the perspective. So that when viewers see the cross on the hill, they don't just see an image. They see meaning. They see sacrifice. They see love stretched out on wood. Something happens when you watch the crucifixion unfold in The Chosen. At first you think you are only a viewer, safe on the other side of a screen. But then the weight begins to press in. The silence feels heavier. The faces on the screen, Mary's tears, Peter's trembling, John's stillness, become mirrors. Suddenly you are no longer outside the story. You are standing in the crowd, hearing the hammer fall, feeling the world pause. The power of this scene is not in the violence you expect, but in the love you cannot ignore. It breaks you quietly, not through spectacle but through honesty. You feel the disciples' confusion. How could hope end like this? You feel Mary's grief. What mother can endure such a sight? And in the stillness you feel something deeper. The startling truth that this sacrifice was not for history alone, but for you. Fans who have walked with The Chosen since the beginning find themselves undone here. They remember the laughter of the disciples around a campfire, the joy of miracles, the tenderness in Jesus' eyes. To see those same eyes now filled with pain makes the heart ache in a way no words can explain. And yet woven into the sorrow is a strange, unshakable hope. Because even as the cross rises, there is a sense that this is not the end. It is the doorway. The emotional impact lingers long after the episode fades. Some viewers find themselves in tears, not just because of the suffering shown, but because they recognize themselves in the story. The doubts of Thomas, the fear of Peter, the silence of John, the heartbreak of Mary. Each reaction pulls us into reflection. How would I have stood that day? Would I have run? Would I have wept? Would I have believed? And that is the genius of The Chosen. It doesn't just tell you what happened. It invites you to feel it, to wrestle with it, to carry it with you after the credits roll. The crucifixion scene becomes more than an episode. It becomes a mirror for the soul. A reminder that this was not simply a man dying on a cross. It was love, stretched out and unbroken, even in death. The crucifixion is not the end of the story. It feels like finality, like the closing of a book you never wanted to finish. But in The Chosen, this moment is written not as a full stop, but as a pause, one that makes the silence almost thunder in its intensity. Season 6 anchors itself on the cross because it has to. Everything that came before, the healings, the parables, the friendships, the betrayals, was always leading here. Without this moment, none of it would make sense. But because of this moment, everything that follows will burn brighter with meaning. The genius of the series is how it leaves you suspended in two emotions at once: grief and anticipation. You grieve with the disciples, who see only loss. You grieve with Mary, whose son has been taken. And yet deep beneath the sorrow, something stirs. A whisper that this cannot be the end. That the story is not collapsing, but unfolding. Season 6 doesn't just show death. It prepares the ground for resurrection. This is where The Chosen sets itself apart. Many shows end with tragedy, leaving the audience with nothing but despair. But here, the crucifixion becomes a seed. The seed must fall and break before life can bloom. And Season 6 plants that seed with care. Every tear, every cry, every moment of darkness points toward the light that is about to come. Fans can feel it, even if the characters cannot. And so as Season 6 draws to its close, it does more than capture a moment in history. It ignites expectation. We know the stone will roll away. We know the empty tomb is waiting. And Season 7 promises not just resurrection, but revolution. the birth of a faith that will reach beyond Jerusalem, beyond centuries, beyond borders, all the way to us. That is the meaning of this scene, and of this season. The cross is the turning point, but it is not the conclusion. It is the place where death and life meet, where sorrow and hope intertwine. For viewers, it leaves a mark, heavy, painful, unforgettable. But it also leaves a promise. What has been lost will rise again. And that is the heartbeat of The Chosen. Not only in Season 6, but in everything that is yet to come, the cross has spoken. It has shown us pain, it has shown us love, and it has shown us the cost of redemption. But the story is not over. What you have just seen is only the beginning of the greatest turning point in history. The crucifixion scene in The Chosen Season 6 is not meant to be watched and forgotten. It is meant to linger, to stir, to awaken something inside you. So I ask you this: how did it move you? Did it break your heart? Did it open your eyes? Did it remind you of something you may have forgotten? That love is stronger than death? Share your thoughts. Let your voice be part of this moment, because stories like this are not meant to be carried alone. If you felt the weight of this scene, if you believe in what The Chosen is doing, stay with us. There is more to come. The silence of the tomb will soon be shattered, and the hope of resurrection is on the horizon. The journey does not end at the cross, it rises from it. And as we wait for what's next, let this be more than an episode you watched. Let it be a reminder that the darkest night always breaks into dawn, a reminder that sacrifice births freedom, a reminder that love does not die. The story continues, and so should we.